We have a question from QBounti. For those of you who do not know, if I am not on YouTube, but yet you want to ask me a super chat question, you can go to QBounti.com/Niko. The link is in the description below, and I try my best to get to all the questions. I've been slacking over the last couple of weeks because we just had so much craziness going on, but I definitely wanted to answer this question from Alexander Mori because it is perfectly relevant to what we're discussing and what we've been discussing over the last couple of weeks, as Biden and Trump are seemingly pulling in closer to each other as far as polling is concerned, and because Trump is literally just killing the easiest opportunity to win the election. Like, it's crazy. He's been dodging bullets for 3 years, right? And even though he's been dodging bullets for 3 years, the easiest thing to get right, he's getting horribly wrong. So the question that was asked by Alexander Mori, who actually is our largest QBounti questioner to date. So shout out to Alexander Mori. Appreciate you. He said this: please explain who is the better candidate to vote for between Donald Trump and Joe Biden in 2020. I know both are terrible, but if I would explain my reasoning to family and family members for either of them, or please give me for either or, please give me details as to why one or the other is the better option. Be as ruthless as possible, Niko 2024. Appreciate you. Thank you very much, man. So that's actually a great question. The truth is, both of them are horrible. Both of them, they're horrible. I would never sell my soul to vote for either of them. There is a very specific situation that I will vote for Donald Trump, and that is not happening. So no, is the moral of the story. Now, with that being said, if you want to explain why both of them are horrific, that there are no lesser of two evils, I mean, I can honestly make a good argument if I wanted to, like if I was in a debate, like as to why Trump is probably the lesser of two evils between Biden and Trump. But I would just, that's not going to happen with your family. You're going to have to convince them to stand their ground. And what the method I would use is the Socratic method. You have to figure out what issues are the most important to your family. And this is for everybody out there. If you're talking to friends, family, your kids, if they're young, college friends, etc. You have to figure out what drives them politically, what's important to them, and then use the Socratic method, which basically involves asking leading questions to help them come to their own conclusions. And when you start this process, you have to make sure you preface everything with, hey, don't mention the Democrats, do not mention Republicans. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. You tell me if it's great or if it's horrid to the point where it's a deal breaker. You ask them about racism, right? And they'll probably say, oh, racism is bad. Well, I mean, hell, Trump has been blowing dog whistles to the point where his face is blue at this point. Okay. And then you go on. You say, well, wouldn't you say that, Trump has been probably blowing, using a lot of dog whistles, racial dog whistles, and it's bad for racism? They're like, hell yeah. If they're Democrats, they're like, hell yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. We 100% agree. Oh, okay. So you would agree that that's probably like a deal breaker then? Yeah, of course. Well, Biden is a literal segregationist. Okay. If Biden were to run today and say that he does not want his kids to grow up in a racial jungle while pushing a segregationist policy, would you vote for him? They would probably say absolutely not. And you would say, okay, that's interesting because that's exactly what he said and that's exactly what he did. Okay. So both disqualified in that part. What do you say about police reform? Obviously, Trump's actions over the last couple of weeks disqualify him from any positives that he has already basically tried to tout when it comes to police reform, criminal justice reform, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, the man tear gassed people for a photo op. And they will probably say, we agree. Trump has been a horrible authoritarian when it comes to this issue specifically. Oh, okay. So how do you feel about the fact that, what would you say if somebody introduced the policies that have allowed police forces to run rampant like this, incentivizing them to specifically target black people, black communities, communities of color, poor communities? And the more police you hired, the more you got paid to do this. The more people you put in private prisons, the more your funding your police force receive. And then, of course, the more private prisons you built, the more money your state received. Wouldn't you say that the person responsible for this probably isn't qualified to be president, especially as a leftist? Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah. Okay, well, that's exactly what Biden did. 100%. He coined it the Biden bill. And oh, by the way, he refused to apologize for it. Okay. So they're both disqualified from that perspective. I don't know if your family has any veterans, because with veterans, I know it could be, foreign policy conversations can be tricky because we literally lean seemingly one way or the other, and it's both to the extremes. But I would say almost all veterans disagree with unnecessary wars and unnecessary conflicts, right? Of course, you can debate the details of those conflicts, but most of them would say that they disagree with them. What I would then ask them is, wouldn't you agree that the Iraq war was wrong? Yeah, 100%. Wouldn't you agree that the Saudi-led genocide in Yemen is wrong? And trying to commandeer other countries' oil supplies is also wrong. Yeah, well, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are guilty of both of these things. Wouldn't you agree putting kids in cages is wrong? Well, yeah, of course. Donald Trump and Joe Biden are both guilty of those policies. So then they'll ask you, because this is inevitably, this is what it always comes down to. Well, what do you want me to do then? Got to vote for somebody. Nobody said you have to vote for the president. That's not true. If you are so emotionally driven by the issues of today that you feel like you have to vote for somebody to stop that from happening, well, one, I would encourage you to look up your city council members, look up your commissioners, look up your city supervisors, look up your sheriff, look up your judges, look up your DAs, look at who's running in these respective positions and try to affect change there through voting, where you don't have to sell your soul. But then on top of that, if you are so concerned with what the outcome of the presidential election or any election will look like, and you are so emotionally driven by the issues of today, then get out and fight for those issues. There may be a time where there is a lesser of two evils argument that could usher in a greater era, you know, because the domino effect that could come about if one person with, you know, a few policies, a few good policies comes in and then sets that standard. We haven't experienced it yet. So what you're effectively doing, if you vote for Donald Trump and you disagree with him, or you vote for Biden and you vehemently disagree with him, what you are doing is rewarding horrific behavior. You're participating in what is known as the good old boys club, right? You're looking at two alleged rapists. You're looking at one racist, one literal segregationist. You're looking at two warmongers. I would say that there's maybe an argument that could be made that Trump is better on healthcare. Marginally. And honestly, he's kind of been better than Biden on the coronavirus issue, if I'm being honest. But assuming that there's never going to be another pandemic again, which is a dumb assumption, but let's just keep it within the boundaries. What you have to do is organize, activate, fight for causes and issues. You take command of your local elections. Get educated on your local officials, because all politics is local. If you do well enough your local politics will become so good, right? The issues and the protection that you will have within your local government and municipality are so substantial that it could actually offset almost all of the negatives coming from the federal governments and from the federal branches. So that's what I would say as far as describing to them and helping them reach their own conclusion as to how Joe Biden and Donald Trump are just equally horrid candidates. They're horrid. I mean, I can't really fathom how we got to the, it was hard for me to fathom how we got to the Hillary Clinton situation, but that made more sense. Hillary Clinton had been running for like 6 years. She's also the first female presumptive nominee, and she's a white woman, and white feminism is a very powerful thing. Okay, but I was still puzzled how we got to that situation then. Now I'm even more puzzled because both of them have been tripping up for the last Biden really for the last year, some change. Trump for the last 4 years. We've had people to be on the right side of history for a lot of these issues, and yet we end up with Joe Biden, Donald Trump. So stop rewarding that system. Stop rewarding a system that rewards corruption and bigotry and lying and conniving behavior and lying about your record and lying about your record like in unnecessary ways. Like, it's crazy whenever I hear Trump talk about DACA, like he effectively didn't really do all that much with DACA. It's funny when I hear Dems like try to pretend like they fought hard for DACA. They didn't. It's funny when he tried to take credit for the kids in the cages, because he can't, because that's Obama's thing. But once again, it's funny that Obama tries to pretend like the kids in the cages are not his problem, because it is. It's funny how they both try to pretend like they care about racism, institutional racism, and racism within police. They both don't care. And they lie. They lie in ways that sometimes don't even make sense. I'm not rewarding that, and you shouldn't either. So, appreciate that QBounti question, Alexander Maury. I hope that answer helped. If you like that segment of Mikasa Sukasa, don't forget to like the video and smash that subscribe button. Want access to members only live streams, behind the scenes footage, and other premium content? Well, you can endorse us on Rockman Premium, become a patron through Patreon, or you can sign up for the MCSC Premium membership through YouTube. All the links are in the description below. But hey, more than anything else, always remember,
find your balance.
Find your balance.
Find your balance.
Find your balance. Find your balance.
Find your balance. Find your balance.
Always remember, more than anything else, find your balance.
peace.